Well, my friend, here we are.
Here we are?
Yes. The end.
This is the end, then.
We shall go forth and conquer what we started.
But there's nothing left after that. It's over.
My dear friend, this is what some might call an end. But truly it is nothing but a beginning. For today, we shall finish what we started, and yet that will open the gateway to new adventures, to new lands, beyond the realm.
Which realm?
Any realm! This is part 3.
Part 3.
Of how to get into...
Would
you shut up? How to get into RuneQuest Role-playing in Glorantha. And again, if you do not subscribe to the channel, I shall bash your head in with this axe that you cannot see. So, subscribe for the glory of... Let's just get into it. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to go over how we're going to finish up this little, this how to get into RuneQuest. Now, so far we've gone over the system and the basics. What is there left? Well, one of the most important things about RuneQuest is the runes. Now, the runes in RuneQuest are basically what will create your character. And in order for you to really understand RuneQuest Role-playing in Glorantha, you need to understand the role runes play in the system itself, and how the runes and what they symbolize kind of really make up what your character is going to be. And then after that, we shall discuss next steps, what you can do afterward. There will be lots of links in the description of this one, lots of new rabbit holes for you to go down and to discover. And then, of course, there's lots you can do by yourself. So, without further ado, here we go. Part 3 of how to get into RuneQuest Role-playing in Glorantha, Runes. When you go to look at the runes, you'll notice that there are many, many different types. And the idea behind the runes is that each one symbolizes something different for your character. So first you have elemental runes, and then you have power/form runes. The idea behind them is to build your character and to really role-play your character in a consistent way. That's the idea of the runes, is they are what your character is fighting for and what makes them who they actually are. Let's take a look at the runes. First, you have darkness. To have a strong affinity with darkness is to be cold, cruel, patient, or secretive. What do the elemental runes mean for your adventurer? According to the book itself, it says elemental runes affect both the personality and the characteristics of your adventurer. Your choice of your primary elemental rune skews your adventurer towards the following personality and characteristic. So the darkness rune is characteristic of hungry, secretive, or large adventurers, right? And there are so many different philosophical reasons that why the runes are attached to their specific characteristics and their specific personality traits. But just know that each one is attached to specific ones. And then you can mix and match percentages, right? So you don't have to have only one. You can have 50% darkness and 20% air and 30% earth, right? So let's go over the rest of them. Let's go through them pretty quick. Water. To have a strong affinity with water is to be mercurial, capricious, and mutable. It is all the potential of the universe without darkness. It is basically changeable and quick adventurers. Earth, the element of matter in terrestrial world. To have a strong affinity with Earth is to be pragmatic, prudent, worldly, and sensual. Okay, the practical, worldly, and sturdy adventurers. Fire/sky, and it's interesting that fire and sky are kind of the same, they're the same element. And it's interesting as well to note that sky is separate from air. And and that goes into the mythology of Glorantha, in that, you know, the sky and the earth were kind of separated by the air god. who was like the son of these other gods. I don't know exactly what it was, but it's pretty interesting the way that they set this up. So for fire/sky, that is purification. It destroys polluting matter and withdraws upward from the material world. Its greatest manifestation is the fiery sun that brings light and warmth to the world. To have a strong affinity with fire/sky means to be pure, idealistic, perceptive, intellectual adventurers, right? You get an intelligence bonus and stuff. Then you've got air, which is an element of strength and violence. To have a strong affinity with air means to be passionate, violent, proud, and unpredictable. The air rune is strong, basically. And finally, you have the moon rune. And the moon rune and these elemental runes are a lot more set in stone, whereas the power/form runes, there's like many different types. And technically there can be different types of elemental runes as well, but the moon one is a little bit different than the rest, and it basically symbolizes magic. So the element of moon was destroyed in the gods' war, but was reborn within time as the red goddess. Her secrets are woven into balance and time, resulting in the lunar cycles laid upon the surface of this world. The moon accepts chaos as part of the cosmic balance, and therefore earns the enmity of much of the rest of the world. I believe the lunar kingdom is attached to the element of the moon. So moon's characteristic is power. To have a strong affinity with moon rune is to seek spiritual liberation from the bondage of fear and ignorance, mystical and magical adventurers. So right off the bat, you can see how when you put, and you can use the runes in many different ways. One of the biggest ways is you can take from the rune to cast spells. You can take from the rune to augment other abilities by calling upon the gods or drawing on the strength of the gods by channeling the runes. You use the runes for rune magic. There are lots of different things that you can use it for, and you can already see how when you begin to choose these affinities, it shapes your character very well. And it's not just pledging your allegiance to being loyal to your friends, like you would do in like Dungeons and Dragons. It's extremely philosophical, and you really are connected to everything else that's going on. And it's really interesting the way they do it. Power/form runes are also one of the more, in my opinion, one of the more unique things in Glorantha itself. And here is why. Power and form runes start at 50 and 50, and they're all connected to each other. Or like each one is a pair of two characteristics, and they will be opposite every time. It'll be life and death, man and beast. And you can make one go up, but that'll make the other one go down. And so for power and form, let's take a look at what we've got so far. You have harmony and disorder, stasis and movement, truth and illusion, fertility and death, man and beast. Okay, that's what the character sheet starts with. Then there's a little thing on other runes, because not all runes can be used by normal human adventurers. Some belong to non-humans, discorporate beings. Still others are conditions that modify elements, powers, or forms. So you've got some runes such as chaos, dragonute, plant, spirit, law, mastery, magic, and infinity. And those are just a few, right? There are many different runes. And by putting points into the runes, you're basically changing your characters, the way that they perceive the world and the way that their personality is shaped in general. And it's really very interesting the way that they do that. And that is basically what makes the runes so important and so integral to your character and therefore your experience playing this game. Everything in this game draws off the runes, most of the magic. And the runes are each tied to the characteristics. And that's something about the entire RuneQuest system and all the lore and stuff that's really interesting, is all of the stats tie into the game. I say on this channel all the time, look, I can't stand the stats. I really like I like the lore and the story and the narrative. That's what I'm obsessed with, right? With RuneQuest, the system and the narrative are one and the same. So while I like Call of Cthulhu because I'll say the system is super easy and intuitive, and you can just go ahead and use it, and it's not going to be that big of a hassle. That's why I love Call of Cthulhu. This system is a little bit more complicated, and yet that doesn't really matter much, because every single aspect of the RuneQuest system is tied into the lore. It's tied into the background, it's tied into the backstory, and it's tied into your character that you've created. And everything about every single statistic within this game is story. It builds the story, builds the narrative, and I love that. And that is probably my favorite thing about this system. Plus the fact that, now I can finally play in a fantasy setting and actually, like it again. Because I was spoiled by Call of Cthulhu. Couldn't go back to D&D much, so, or at least the system specifically. So this was a big surprise, and I was very excited by how much this system is appealing to me. And I think that it could appeal very much to you as well. Especially if you like my videos, you know the style of gaming that I like to engage in. Now I'm going to finish this off with one more thing. And I'm going to basically give you a final overview of what RuneQuest Role-playing in Glorantha is, and then I'm going to give you a lot of resources that you can use to continue down the rabbit hole and start really researching and seeing if this looks like a purchase you want to get into. And again, there's a quick start rule book. There's all this free stuff that you can get your hands on beforehand to make sure you like it. So if you're new to the system, welcome to the game. I know a lot of people watching are not new to the system, but if you are, awesome to be here. I'm really happy to bring this game to anyone who's never heard of it or who has never played it before. I recently started playing and running RuneQuest Role-playing in Glorantha, and in this video series and everything, I'm creating and compiling some useful resources for those just entering the gates into this mystical world of ancient powers, exciting yet lethal combat, and mythical gods. Be forewarned though, adventurer or storyteller, this is a path which once you start going down, you're never turning back from it. Now, if you are completely new to the system, and everything that I've said so far hasn't really explained it very well, fear not. Chaosium has conveniently created a free guide to the important rules, which has everything you need to start your gaming in Dragon Pass, as well as a pre-made adventure module. You can download the Quick Start. I'm going to put a link to that in the description. It's at Chaosium's website. In fact, I'm going to put a link to Chaosium's website. And if you go to the corner of the screen, you can see this little thing that drops down, and you can see RuneQuest free stuff. And click on that, and then you'll find the Quick Start. You've got the core rule books, the main rule book to obtain after discovering the power of this system and this setting. And unlike some similar fantasy tabletop role-playing games, RuneQuest in Glorantha is set in the Bronze Age and draws the majority of its inspiration from mythology. The single main rulebook contains everything you need, this one right here, to run incredibly enjoyable games and create deep, varied characters within the world of Glorantha. I love this book so much. So if you love the rules and are wondering how this could get any better, it can. There's the Glorantha Bestiary, and you can find all these books on Chaosium's website. It includes both powerful and ancient monsters and chaos beings, but many different races and rules on how to create characters with different styles, along with lots of rich history and culture surrounding each entry. The Game Master Screen Pack is a handy and beautiful addition to your collection. Not only does it come with the gorgeous Game Master screen, but it also has a 100-plus page booklet featuring lore, cool pre-made adventure modules or scenarios, a Gloranthan calendar, an assorted collection of Gloranthan maps, some of which are like huge, character sheets, and there's even more stuff. And that's just the beginning. There's even more. You can browse all the RuneQuest line at www.chaosium.com/RuneQuestGlorantha. And again, it's going to be a link in the description. Now, you guys know about my channel, obviously, if you're watching it. If you're new here, please like the video and subscribe. But there's some other helpful articles and assets you can utilize as a game master or a player. And these are the ones that I've found the most useful. And there will be links to each of these things in the description. First of all, I've already made a video on this, but the In English Gloranthan podcast called Wind Words, and their passion in the way that they were talking about this game that they've been playing for quite a long while. It's 3 guys currently, and they're from all different parts of the world, and they do a really good job in making the game seem incredible. They were the ones who inspired me to first really get it, along with someone on the BRP forums who was supporting my channel and asked multiple times for RuneQuest content, which finally, we're doing it, guys. So I highly recommend you check out the podcast WinWords. I will have a link to their website in the description. From the website, you can find all the different places you can find their podcast, and it's completely free. All of these, or most of these assets that I have here are completely free. Second, there is a guy who makes blogs. His username is RuneBlogger. He has a blog about how to get started in Glorantha. Now, this is more lore-based, how to get started in Glorantha specifically, not necessarily the system of RuneQuest. So this is more of a rabbit hole type endeavor. So the podcast is similar to the Good Friends of Jackson Elias or whatever, where you've got these guys just talking about the game and talking about their experience of the game. That's kind of what WinWords is. This blog post has a lot of false facts, I guess you could say, information on the system or the lore of Glorantha, not the system, the lore specifically. And I highly recommend it. Link will be down in the description right below the link to WinWords. And thirdly, there is another YouTube channel that's similar. I guess you could say it's in the vein of Bud's RPG review, kind of, called RPG Imaginings. And he has a few videos where he creates a RuneQuest character. And while I'm going to be eventually making a video on how to make a RuneQuest character and how to make Call of Cthulhu character, really, but watching him do it and the way he explains kind of each step of the process also could be really, really helpful if you're going to go try and make a character. Because that's one of the things in RuneQuest that's a little bit different, is character creation took like 5 or 6 hours. It takes a long time. There are a few ways you could streamline it, but to get the full experience, it takes quite a while. One of the longest parts of the game is just creating your character. And your character is so fleshed out that you've got so many role-playing opportunities just from your starting character, right? And so yeah, go check out RPG Imagining's videos on how to make a RuneQuest character. And finally, there is, and I don't know if I'm going to be saying this right, but I think it's called the Johnston Compendium. It is an area of drive-thru RPG where people can create their own RuneQuest scenarios and stuff and publish them, or assets, and publish them and make money off of them. I think there's at least 1 or 2 free ones on there, and there's quite a few paid ones that have gotten very, very glowing reviews. It is people who've been waiting for years for something like this. If I find more stuff, and you can tell me different assets and stuff in the description or in the comments below, but I might add more to the description. These are currently my favorite assets to running this game. I hope you found this series on how to start up, how to get into RuneQuest useful. And before I finish, I'm going to say the 2 most important things to me about these role-playing games. Number 1, as they say in RuneQuest Glorantha, you're going for maximum game fun, MGF. That is the end-all be-all. You know that I've talked before about how, most things are subjective, and nothing is an end-all be-all. This is. You're always trying to emulate maximum game fun. That is what you want. That is what you will always want. That is the end goal, is to make sure that everybody at your table is having fun. And this game emphasizes that to a huge extreme, and I love it. And number 2, no matter if you're a game master or an adventurer, the one thing all role players need is imagination. And at the end of the day, statistics aside, all role-playing games are collaborative narrative experiences, and you need to understand how a story or a character works. So if you want to continue diving down the deep end, you should discover the richness of storytelling. Understand about the character arc or the 3-act story. The narrative, at least to me, is the most important part of the game. And you're trying to make sure everyone's having fun while creating a story together. And yeah, role-playing games are the greatest hobby of all time. Bold statement, I know, but man, you can see that just by the fact that I haven't played a video game since the quarantine started. And I've just been doing this. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching all this. If you're new here, again, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. And thank you for coming with me on this journey. This is technically the end, but it's really only the beginning because lots more content's on its way. And yeah, thank you guys very much. I really appreciate every single one of you since I started these RuneQuest videos. I've gotten a lot of positive interaction and feedback. Thank you. Anyway, Dethstrok9 out. See you guys soon. There's going to be more RuneQuest videos coming soon. Like, specifically, we're going to be finishing up the Dragon of Thunder Hills scenario. I'm going to keep posting the parts of it. And yeah. See you guys soon. Dethstrok9 out.